Hey everyone, I'm going to talk today about BOSU Basics and how we can get started using this. Now, number one on using the flat side of the BOSU ball, like I do in my videos, is a pair of good fitting shoes. Now these shoes are pretty old, and like a lot of people, I have a tendency to just slip them on and off. However, when we're getting up on the BOSU ball, we want to make sure we untie our shoes and pull all the laces pretty snug and then retie them. This will help to keep the foot stabilized inside the shoe. So, this is called a BOSU trainer, BOSU ball. Depending on who you ask, it stands for both sides utilized, both sides up, because you can use this round side too. However, this side is much better for using without shoes on because it works a lot of the stability muscles in the feet as well as in the knees and in the lower legs. So this is something we'll cover on a different day because there's a whole separate set of exercises and it's very beneficial for balance work. So getting up on the BOSU ball, there's a couple options. First of all, if you don't feel comfortable getting up on this thing, if you've never stood up on a skateboard or anything, maybe get yourself a chair to start with. There's a couple ways to get up on here. My preferred way is I like to get up on here just like a skateboard, where I will actually use one foot to pin the rim down to the ground, step up, and then balance out. If you need to, you can grab onto a chair for stability. The second way to do this is, I'm going to show you how you would be doing it if you were completely new to this. Grabbing onto this chair, put your foot in the center of this, get a nice strong footing, that way it should be pretty stable, and then from here, place your other foot down, and then work it out. This is very tough to get used to in the beginning. So, what we want to do is, for basics, we really just want to be able to stand up on here. In particular, if you're going to be playing Beat Saber on this, you want to be able to stand up on here for 20 minutes uninterrupted. And that's just a baseline, because if you think about it, each of these songs are anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long, but you're not standing here. You're doing a whole lot of extra movement on top of that. So 20 minutes uninterrupted on here is a good starting point. So for standing on here, the way we want to do this, we're going to keep our knees unlocked and try and keep the feet plain and level. And then from here, we're taking nice deep breaths all the way in and all the way out, nice and slow. Because anytime we're doing any type of isometric or hold exercise, we have one muscle in our body that's moving, and that's our diaphragm. And all of the other muscles in our body have to do a lot of small adjustments depending on the position of the diaphragm. So it's important to train that full range of motion of it for all the way in and all the way out. If you're just getting started up on this, make it a goal to be able to stand on here and do 10 deep breaths before doing a dismount. There's a couple ways to dismount. Again, we can get off it like a skateboard. If you're using a chair, same thing. You can bring your foot to the center, lean forward, and then step backwards. It's a safe way to get off of there. Next exercise we're going to do is squats. So I'm going to show proper form with this. It's important at all times. Now, when you're first starting up on here, I have a pretty steady stance on here. You may look something like this. That's okay. Breathe through it. If you're still at this point, you're not ready for squats yet. Still be able to stand up on here. Once you're able to stand on here, nice and clean, then we're going to try and add squats to it. We're going to have our hands right here in front of us. We're going to keep our back upright as we breathe in on the way down. And be aware that when you do this for the first time, it's not going to look like this. But keep that breath moving, and chances are it's going to look something like this. Keep the breath moving, fight through it, and get as low as you can before bringing yourself back up. Okay? Eventually, you want to be able to work your way down and hold the bottom of a squat down here without any wobbles. You want to even be able to hold it a couple inches up the same way. Every time we're doing these movements, we're keeping our breath moving. We never want to hold our breath through any of this because it can cause us to get dizzy and faint, very easily lose our balance. We get our power from our breath, keep it moving the entire time. So, again, the proper rhythm for this is breathing in on the way down, and then big breath out, big push up. I'm going to do 5 of these. That's to demonstrate the squats. Now, I'm going to demonstrate circles with these. This is a really great balance exercise. The way we do this, we're going to have our wide stance, and then we're going to tip the board down to the ground, and then trying to keep this plastic rim as low to the ground as we can, we're going to circle it around. Take this nice and slow as you do, and especially with the back, really use the heels, drive the heels down to get that rim down to the ground. Don't cheat yourself out of this. Take your time with it. I still have issues with it, but we really want to make sure that we're pushing down using our heels the best we can, lifting up with the feet. And you'll notice too that this does not stay straight as you spin around with it. We're going to keep our head facing forward the entire time. We're going to come around once, full circle, and then we're going to back it out the other way. I think I just went this way. Sometimes it gets a little bit confusing with going one way or the other, but when we're learning new movements, give yourself grace and patience. Obviously, I'm doing this pretty quick and making it look fairly easy. Take your time with it. Let yourself shake through it, but keep breathing. Okay? Now, once you can do circles, then we're going to do narrow stance movements. Narrow stance is significantly harder than wide stance. Now, getting used to this takes a moment. This looks pretty steady right now. However, when you're up on here for the first time, definitely would recommend a chair because it's probably going to look something like this. Again, just want to keep breathing through it. Let yourself shake. Try and steady out. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you can stand up here nice and relaxed and then take 10 deep breaths. All the way in, all the way out with those. When you're able to stand up on here comfortably without any wobbles, then we're going to start adding squats to it. We're going to keep the knees together, keep everything pointed straight. We're going to try and get as low as we can with it. And again, this might look very wobbly on your way down, but try and keep it all together as you breathe in on the way down, and then big breath out, big push up. Try and keep the feet plain and level as much as you can. If you have to tip the board forward, that is okay, but try and keep them plain and level. That's going to activate the front of the legs as well. Okay. Want to be able to shoot for 10 of these. And then, when you're able to do squats, start trying to get into narrow circles. Narrow circles are pretty tough, so work yourself into it. This is very much a core and balance movement. I actually can't even go any faster than this. This is very difficult. So take your time, dig all of your toes down, use your entire foot to maneuver this board and make it through the movement. I think, I need new shoes because these are getting pretty old and the grip on them is not very good. You might be able to hear the squeaking of them in the microphone. But it's a good time to point out that if you have old or crappy shoes, this may not work out for you. So make sure you have proper footwear with this. We're going to swing the knees out and then back, using the feet as well to maneuver the board. Doing the best we can to keep the feet together the entire time. And that's it. That form kind of slipped a bit, but I think I'm going to blame my shoes on that. So work on each of these movements before you even consider putting any kind of headset on with this. Be able to do 20 minutes uninterrupted standing up and be able to do 20 squats in wide stance. Definitely want to be able to work into circles and really should be able to do narrow stance as well. Good luck.